Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Trevor with Maker Experiment, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about leather. Let's get into it. First and foremost, I am not an expert on working with leather. I use it in some of my laser projects, but I do not work with it every day. I do not know all of the ins and outs. If you want to learn more about working with leather, I highly recommend you go to Odin Leather Goods or Little King Goods or following Ethan Carter Designs. They work with leather a heck of a lot more than I do, and they can probably teach you a lot more about the actual project side. Mine is going to be more focused on working with it when you're using a laser. The first question I usually get is, what kind of leather can I use with a laser? There's only one that I'm aware of that is completely safe, which is the vegetable tan leather. There are others out there like chrome tan leather, which contain gases that when you actually laser it, they'll output those gases and they can be hazardous to you and your machinery. Kind of like if you're thinking about PVC and vinyl, the same concept applies. There are certain coatings in those leathers like chrome tan leather and other tan leather that can be harmful to the machine if you actually use them. Vegetable tan leather won't do that. So if you're going to be using a leather with your laser machinery, definitely use the vegetable tan. Do not use the other kind. Most of the websites out there that you can buy from will have what kind it is. I was getting a lot of my leather from District Leather Supply. I do not know if they're actually kind of downgrading or cutting back on what they're carrying, but these three are ones that I've gotten from them. I have a blue, kind of a yellow, and then a purple. All of these are vegetable tan leathers that I've made projects with before. You can also get leather from sites like Buckle Guy. You can get it from Tandy Leather. There's a few out there. I think even Little King Goods might have some too. But there are plenty of resources out there for leather if you are interested in those. The second thing you need to know about working with leather is it is not measured in thickness like a millimeter or a inches type of measurement. It's actually measured in ounces. So think 2 ounce, 3 ounce, 4 ounce, and so on. The higher the ounce, the thicker it is. Now for a lot of my stuff, because I use, bookmarks, keychains, little things typically, or lighter wallets, I'm using something in the 2 to 3 ounce range, which is pretty easy to cut on the laser and works out really well. If you're using things for handbags or purses or things like that, you're going to want thicker material. I've never actually made one, but I imagine the 5 to 6 ounce range would probably be pretty good for that. And then as you get further up, you're talking about like saddles for horses and things like that I'm not going to be doing on my lasers. So keep in mind, if you're going to be buying leather, you need to be looking at ounces and what that means for thickness. There are guides out there for what ounces equal an approximate amount of thickness. So you can deep dive those to figure out what you need. And there are other guides out there that will recommend what ounces you need for the types of projects. So I'll see if I can find one of those and then I'll shoot that on the screen for you so that you don't have to look that up yourself. Some good news is if you are looking at a website and they have a color that you really love, but it doesn't have the right thickness, most of them offer a splitting service. Well, they will actually split the material and make it thinner for you so that you can get it to the desired thickness that you are looking for. So keep that in mind. Typically, it's an option within the purchase items where you can offer custom splitting to whatever thickness you want. Now I want to talk about some of the things that you can make with leather. I've both bought some and made some myself, but some of the things that I've seen are things like wallets, which are pretty common, belts, mouse pads are another thing. I've actually got a few projects here. So these range in order of complexity when I made them. So I am not an expert on leather or leather finishing or anything like that. I just kind of take one project at a time and try to learn how to make it the best that I can. So all of these were made using the laser, and some of them are engraved to add a little bit of detail. And then I learned how to sew by hand from watching a different video. But this is a no-sew project. It is very easy. This one is a keychain, and I made this recently, actually. So this is a keychain, and I'll put the materials below, but this is just a snap or a rivet for leather working that is really easy to do. All I did was laser cut the leather piece, put the pieces together, and then assembled it with the snap. This project takes maybe a couple of minutes. But I do see people using these on their key rings all the time. So they can be a very popular option if you're doing craft fairs or things like that. Another project that I did was this card wallet. So this one was a little bit more complex for me. So I had to measure a credit card, and a few of them actually, to get the desired width and thickness. And then I laser cut the pattern and the stitch holes, and then I also engraved so that I could make the wallet itself. And then I hand stitched this stitching line around the edge. The third project that I have with me still is this bookmark. Whoa! Almost dropped it. This is the bookmark. So I saw this online one day and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Let me try to make one. So it has magnets on each end, and then it snaps together. So if you have a few pages, it'll secure your pages with the magnet, and then you can have it stuck inside of your book. I did make it blue on the other side, so two-tone, with some leathers or some yellow stitching, which I thought was pretty cool. I've also made hat patches that you can put adhesive on and adhere them to hats. I've also sewed hat patches onto hats. Those are just a few of the projects that I have done. I do want to learn how to make things like bigger wallets, things with zippers and backpacks and stuff like that. Things that my family would like, where, you know, the Loungefly backpacks they get from Disney, something like that, where I can do a little bit more customized. Those are the kind of projects that I want to be able to do, but I am definitely not there yet. So I need to learn a lot more before I get there. When it comes to working with leather, every style is slightly different, and more the coloring. Every color behaves slightly different depending on who made it, what company it came from, all of those things. So every time I typically do a small test swatch to figure out what settings will work for both cutting and engraving. Now, cutting is typically the same from company to company as long as the thickness is the same. The difference is how it behaves to the engraving portions. So what I typically do is I create a swatch like this. It's about 2 inches by 2 inches. And my Epilog will actually do a test grid for me with speed and power, or whatever settings you want to use. But I typically use speed and power on this, where one of them will go down the Y direction and one will go across the X direction. Based on that combination of speed and power, you get all of these different results. So if you're looking for an engraving that is super light and you just want it to kind of kiss the surface and just change it enough, but it's still blue in this case, then I'd probably go with one of these. If you want it to be much more of a contrast and be brown, then I would go with one down here. I use this and then I keep this on the side, and I'll typically write on the back what the speeds and powers were so that I don't have to recreate this every time if I buy the same kind of leather from the supplier. But this is how I figure out what settings I want to use depending on the kind of project that I have. A lot of the time people ask me, what settings do I use? And that's really the wrong question to be asking. You need to figure out the process for how to apply it to your machine so that you can figure out the settings that work best for your machine. Because my machine is not going to be the same as yours, especially if it's a different brand or a different wattage. My settings won't always work for what you're doing. So you need to figure out how to take my test grid process and apply that to your machine. Most softwares do have that built in already, and you can generate the test grid and do that a lot more quickly. So don't worry about what settings I used. Worry about what settings are going to work best for what you want to do with your machine. If you run the test grid and you don't like the results that you're seeing, vary the options one at a time so that you can get different results. Say, for example, you have speed going from 0 to 100%, or whatever your scaling is, and you're seeing that the low end isn't giving you much of anything, but the high end is a little bit, too, I would say, light or whatever. You can truncate those numbers and narrow the range so that you get a little bit more spread within a smaller range, giving you more variation. So when you're looking at settings, if you don't like what you're seeing, you can adjust them one at a time to see which one works the best for what you want to do. Overall, there are 3 big takeaways from this video. Number 1 is only use vegetable tan leather, stuff that is safe, that has naturally occurring processes to put in your laser. If you don't do that and you use something that's chrome tan or has those other chemicals, they can damage your machine. So definitely only use vegetable tan leather. Number 2 is there are a ton of projects that you can use leather for. Wallets, belts, purses, backpacks, keychains, bookmarks, leather hat patches. There are a ton. If you need inspiration for projects that you can do, definitely check out Odin Leather Goods, Little King Goods, Ethan Carter Designs. There are many more. Just Google leather projects and there are a ton. Some of them make some really cool things that I never would have thought of. If you're wanting to make leather projects, definitely check out those channels. They have a ton of information. The third takeaway is when you are trying to dial in your settings, record what they are. Whether you keep the swatches that you make, whether you keep a notebook with all of your settings. I typically save my settings inside of my job dashboard with my Epilog, and then I will label them specific to color and specific to the ounce rating if that is necessary. That way, when I go back, I don't have to guess at what ounces they were or which color it was. I know exactly what it was. Hopefully this video has been helpful. If you have any ideas for leather projects that you think I should make because they would be fun, put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what those are. Hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so that you know when I come out with new videos. Be sure to follow on all of my social media channels at Maker Experiment. But I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you in the next one.